There is no doubt that our kids are the most precious cargo we can have in our vehicles. They are far more valuable than the laptop on the back seat or the bike on the roof racks. Therefore, we all need to do everything we can to make sure they are as safe as possible while we're driving. Now, this might sound a bit obvious, but there are far too many parents and grandparents around Tasmania that make mistakes with child restraints that could have potentially disastrous consequences.
Let's not beat around the bush. In the event of an accident, some simple and apparently minor errors could result in serious injury and worse. In fact, nearly 40 children under the age of 7 are injured or killed as passengers in vehicles on Tasmanian roads each year. However, on a brighter note, the good news is that there are a few things that you can do to reduce this risk significantly. Firstly, here at the RACT, we strongly recommend that you do not use a child restraint unless you know its history. Second-hand restraints may have been involved in an accident or possess worn or dysfunctional componentry.
Of course you can use family hand-me-downs, but buying a restraint from a local school fair or online auction site is a risky business. This is why we strongly advise against buying or selling second-hand seats. Secondly, did you know that child restraints have a use-by date?
Industry standards tell us that once the seat is 10 years past its date of manufacture, it is no longer suitable for use. All restraints that adhere to Australian and New Zealand standards have their date of manufacture stamped on the seat. If it is more than 10 years old, it is no longer suitable for use in your car or anyone else's. Remember, children are your most precious cargo.
Okay, now that we have the appropriate restraint, let's look at how to fit it. Driving with a baby can be quite stressful for new parents like Samantha and Brendan. So let's see how they go fitting a rear-facing carrier restraint for children up to the age of 12 months old. Morning guys, how you going? So how old's little Daisy, guys?
She's 1 month today.
Oh wow, and how are you finding driving around with her?
Yeah, he's driving like a bit of a grandma. He drove 20 k's home from the hospital.
It's all very different now. She makes me really nervous.
Yeah, I bet. And where did you learn to fit a child restraint?
Learnt most of it off my old man. Had a little look in the instructions book.
Ah, the old man. So he knows a bit about these things?
I wouldn't say heaps, but maybe I shouldn't have listened to him.
Ah, well, we'll be the judge of that. Let's show us how you do it.
Brendan has the restraint placed on the side of the back row. While the location of the restraint is a personal preference, we recommend using the middle seat when possible, as it is the furthest away from any potential impact and danger. As this is a rear-facing restraint, appropriate for children under the age of 12 months, Brendan is using the correct belt path. The belt paths are indicated on the restraints themselves with blue stickers, often representing the correct path for a rear-facing restraint. You might notice that Brendan pulls hard on the belt to tighten it, which is a good idea. You can even copy Brendan by putting pressure on the base to get the belt in as far as possible. Brendan is now very correctly checking the top tether for any twists. However, he has made a pretty serious mistake. Brendan has fastened the restraint to the luggage tie-down rather than the child restraint anchor point. These are not designed to take the same amount of force as the anchor points. Let's have another look at this when Brendan has finished. He then lifts Daisy and the carrier onto the base and does some final checks to ensure that there are no twists and the straps are tight enough. Sam now checks the inbuilt harness and makes sure that she can snugly fit a couple of fingers under the straps. They are now confident that they're ready to drive, which he'll be doing a bit like a grandma, according to Sam. Now, all in all, Brendan did a pretty good job. However, the incorrect top tether connection could be disastrous. In the event of an accident, a 4 to 5 kilo infant generates a lot of forward moving force, which needs a very secure anchor point. In this vehicle, the anchor points are right next to the luggage tie-down, but you may find them in different location, even on the ceiling. Most will have some form of symbol indicating their intended use. Let's have a look at our next family.
Rodney and Rita use a booster seat for their daughter Ava. These booster seats are normally used for children between the ages of 4 and 8 years old. Morning guys, how you going?
Morning.
Hello Ava, good, how are you guys going?
Good.
Hello Ava.
Good.
So how old are the kids guys?
Ava is 4 and we have Isabella who's 8 months.
And they keep you busy?
They keep me busy.
Someone has to go to work to keep up your fashionable wardrobe.
Hey, I noticed there's a couple of restraints in the car. Who normally fits them? Who puts the kids in the car?
That would be me.
It's actually me.
And where did you get the booster seat from?
I got the booster from my sister about 6 months ago when Ava turned 4, because I think that's the legal age for her to move into a booster.
Well, sounds like you know all about it. Let's see how you go putting it in the car.
Rita places the booster seat on the footpath side of the vehicle, which generally is a safer option as it avoids the opportunity for your little person to open the door into traffic. It also reduces the risk for you as you're buckling or unbuckling, so it's better to do this as far from the traffic as possible. You will notice that Rita is placing the restraint directly next to another one. This is perfectly fine and entirely unavoidable for many families. As this is a booster seat, we do not need to follow a seatbelt path until Ava is in the restraint. Therefore, Rita can attach the top tether immediately, which she does now, and attaches it to the correct anchor point on the ceiling. Rita tightens the top tether without making it too tight, allowing for a bit of give, and ensuring the child restraint is not lifted off the car seat. Ava now climbs into the car seat. Rita brings the seat belt down through the correct path as indicated by the directions on the seat. This is often a little different for booster seats, which you might notice. Rita now buckles the seatbelt, ensuring that it is all under the armrest. Rita checks the tightness of the belt, rechecks the belt path, and decides that Ava is good to go. However, we wouldn't entirely agree with Rita. In fact, we'd very nearly disagree. While Ava is 4 years old and legally able to travel in a booster seat, this seat is almost too big for her. Ava's shoulders only just meet the minimum height line for this seat. As she has been using the restraint for 6 months, it is quite likely that this restraint has been far too big for her. This is a significant risk in the event of an accident. If your child's shoulders are below the minimum height or above the maximum height markers, the restraint is not safe for them to use. In this case, for the last 6 months, Ava should have been travelling in a forward-facing restraint with an inbuilt harness until her shoulders were at least the height of the line. Aside from this, Rita didn't do a bad job.
And what about grandparents? They're often pretty handy babysitters, but do they know how to keep your precious cargo safe? Jeff and Vara have a forward-facing restraint that's used for children from birth until 4 years of age. Let's see how they go. So we hear you're both pretty handy babysitters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thought it was all over with our kids before, but now I've got the grandkids as well. Seems like I'm always driving around.
That's not the slightest bit true. We love doing it.
And do you drive around a little bit while you're babysitting?
Oh, all the time. Always in the car. Every time I have a day off or nothing to do, I'm always driving around.
Oh, we only do babysitting every now and again, and we just love it.
And who fits the child restraint? Who will get little Marlo in and out of the car?
Oh, I have to, yeah. All the time.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. I'm too busy getting the children ready.
Is that right?
Yep.
All right then, Jeff, let's see how you go.
Jeff identifies the correct belt path for a forward-facing restraint, which is generally indicated by yellow stickers on the seat. He clicks the belt in and pulls it as tight as he can. Some vehicles have a ratchet system for their seatbelts. These can be very useful for child restraints, allowing a tighter fastening as it restricts the back and forward nature of a seatbelt. Pull your seatbelt out the whole way and see if it makes a clicking noise when it retracts. If it does, you can put pressure on the seat and feed the belt back in as far as it will go. It won't come back out. Jeff locates the appropriate anchor point and fastens the seatbelt. You might notice that Jeff isn't paying a lot of attention to possible twists in the straps. The top tether is tightened without being too tight, and Marlo is ready to be lifted in. Marlo is now strapped in and looks pretty comfortable. Maybe Jeff does have this child restraint business mastered. On closer inspection, we notice that one of Marlo's shoulder straps is twisted, which is not only going to be uncomfortable for her, but also extremely dangerous. In the event of an accident, a twisted seatbelt reduces the amount of area that is used to restrain your child. There is the same amount of force concentrated on a smaller part of the belt. The potential consequences of this can be very serious, and this is true for adult drivers as well. It is very important for this to be identified and corrected before you go anywhere. If your vehicle doesn't have ratchet seat belts and you feel like the restraint is not fastened tightly enough with the seatbelt you have, a gated buckle can be used to hold the seatbelt in place. This simply stops the belt retracting, which it is designed to do. Please contact us if you would like to know more about using a gated buckle, and make sure you double check those straps. As you can see, simple and apparently minor mistakes can lead to quite dangerous situations. Now, a couple of final messages. Some new restraints entering the market use an ISOFIX attachment. The restraints themselves essentially are the same, however the connection with the car is a little different. You may have little hooks or brackets hidden in the join of your back seat, which these adapters click into. When these are fixed, it removes the need for the seatbelt to thread through the seat. This is a completely safe method of instalment, and we expect to see a lot more of these restraints available in the future. If you are at all concerned about how your restraints are fitted, feel free to give us a call.
Please remember that we strongly encourage you to err on the side of caution when buying a second-hand restraint, as there are too many unsafe examples out there. By all means, use a restraint that has been handed down by a family or friend, providing it is no more than 10 years old.
Make sure you know the history of the seat before entrusting it to keep your most precious cargo safe. Child restraint advice and fittings are available at the RACT branches in Hobart and Launceston. Also, wherever you are around the state, we are only a phone call away to answer any of your questions, so please don't hesitate to call 132722 to talk to our trained professionals. You may also see us at community events with the RACT Mobile Service Centre, which we use to provide child restraint education throughout the state.
We hope you've learned a few things about keeping our most precious cargo safe. It's never our intention to scare motorists, but here at the RACT we think a few helpful hints may make a big difference. Thank you for watching, and safe driving.